The air was thick with pine and secrets as Vikram Rao stood at the threshold of Redwood Cottage, his breath mingling with the mist of the Himachal forests. An eerie hush surrounded him, punctuated only by the distant sound of rustling leaves. The cottage itself, with its faded red wooden planks and ivy-clad stones, beckoned him into its shadowy embrace. "This is where you'll find your story," he muttered to himself, a mantra against the writer's block that had dogged him for months. He stepped inside, the old wooden floorboards creaking underfoot, and took in the quaint yet disconcerting charm of his temporary abode. Rustic furnishings filled the rooms, and a stone hearth stood waiting to battle the chill nights. His makeshift workspace was by a large window, offering a view of the dense forest beyond. He sighed with a mix of relief and trepidation, unpacking his laptop and scribbled notes. The first night passed uneventfully, the fireplace crackling softly as Vikram struggled to pin down his elusive muse. But as the darkness pooled around the corners of the room, a faint whisper brushed past his ear. Startled, he glanced around, but the room was empty. He attributed it to exhaustion, retreating to bed. The following day brought a more ominous air. While exploring the cottage, Vikram found an old portrait of a young woman, her eyes sorrowful, her beauty haunting. The back bore a single name, Anjali. Intrigued, he placed it on his desk. That evening, as he pounded away at his keyboard, the whispers returned, louder this time. "Help me," they seemed to say, words unraveling in the spaces between the fire's crackle and the gusts of wind outside. Determined to shake off his growing unease, he ventured into the small village nearby. The locals eyed him warily, but spoke freely when he mentioned Redwood Cottage. Anjali, they said, was a tragic figure, a young woman who had once stayed in the cottage, only to meet a harrowing end. Abandoned by her deceitful lover, she was driven to madness and despair, her restless spirit now haunting the rugged sanctuary. Vikram returned to the cottage with a mix of dread and curiosity. Night fell, and with it came the sinister atmospherics. Objects moved of their own accord. A book toppled from the shelf, papers swirled through the air, and the whispers intensified into mournful wails that permeated the walls. An unseen presence tugged at his consciousness, compelling him to delve deeper into Anjali's story. As he pieced together the tragic tale, he began to feel a disturbing connection to her anguish. Visions haunted his dreams. Anjali's face appeared in the shadows, her eyes pleading for justice. Vikram grappled with sensations of warmth and cold, as if her ethereal fingers brushed against his skin. Struggling to maintain his sanity, he scoured the cottage for clues, searching for anything that might bring him closer to unraveling her fate. On the third night, as a storm raged outside, Anjali's spirit manifested fully, emerging from the furthest shadows. Her form was translucent, her eyes pools of sorrow and anger. "Why have you come?" she whispered, her voice like the wind through the trees. Vikram could barely muster a response. I want to help," he stammered. She came closer, her presence filled with both despair and a fierce need for redemption. In a series of jolting visions, Vikram witnessed the agony of her betrayal, the lover who lied, the madness that claimed her, the life unjustly lost. Realizing she sought justice, Vikram vowed to uncover the truth behind her torment. He wrote feverishly, his fingers almost a blur as they flew across the keyboard. Each word seemed to lift a fragment of Anjali's torment, guiding him to hidden letters, diary entries, and forgotten memorabilia. Finally, in the attic, a place he'd avoided out of a primordial dread, Vikram discovered the ultimate betrayal. A series of love letters revealed a sinister plot where Anjali's lover had been coerced into his deceit by promises of wealth from another. Knowing he had the evidence, Vikram worked tirelessly to immortalize Anjali's story. As dawn broke, Vikram typed the final sentence. Anjali's spirit stood before him, an aura of serenity replacing her once palpable anguish. "Thank you," she whispered, her form shimmering into the morning light. Vikram left Redwood Cottage that day, manuscript clutched tightly in his hands. The atmosphere was different now, cleansed, almost peaceful. He felt a strange sense of fulfillment, knowing he had freed Anjali's spirit. His book would soon reveal her story to the world, a bestseller that not only brought him acclaim, but also eternal peace to the spirit that once haunted him. In the quiet that followed him down the forest path, Vikram knew he'd carry the essence of Anjali's story forever, a tale that transcended mere writing, to become a symbiotic redemption for both author and ghost.